I've said it before, but I'll say it again. The easiest money you're ever gonna make sports betting is going to come from sportsbook sign-up offers. Literally anybody can make an easy $10,000 profit with sportsbook sign-up bonuses. So I've made a video before kind of breaking down how if you traveled to every single state in the US, you could make over $18,000 in risk-free profit just from sportsbook sign-up bonuses. But I've been doing a few videos recently kind of showing myself, teaching my sister sports betting. I made her $5,000 off sign-up bonuses on Maryland sportsbooks, and then teaching my friends sports betting. So Clara, I recently, helped show sports betting, and I made her $2,000 profit in a little under 2 hours. And this is all possible because sportsbooks offer these insanely lucrative sign-up bonuses to you when you sign up. So a few people commented, hey, do you mind doing specific videos on each sign-up bonus, how to maximize profit? So I figured I would do a comprehensive video covering the main types of sign-up bonuses. At this point, I've used over 100 sportsbooks and fantasy apps, and all sign-up bonuses fall into 5 main categories. Honestly, most of them are in the first 3. So what I'm gonna be doing in this video is breaking down all of the types of sportsbook sign-up bonuses, how valuable they are, how to convert them into risk-free profit. That's the purpose of this video. So if you wanna make easy money and you're willing to sign up for a few sportsbooks, you can absolutely do it, and this tutorial video is gonna show you how. So the first question I get from a lot of people, even just showing my sister sports betting, showing Clara sports betting, one of my good friends, is a lot of people just say, that's a scam, right? For example, on DraftKings Sportsbook, their sign-up bonus promo is you bet $5, and if your first bet wins, they give you $300 in bonus bets. So most people, if you don't bet on sports frequently, you just think that's a scam.
No, it just doesn't sound real. Sounds fake.
But it's not, right? All of these sports books, DraftKings, FanDuel, Prize Picks, BetMGM, they're all in ruthless competition for customers. There's hundreds of sports books in the US. So all of these books are marketing, trying to appeal to sports bettors, trying to stand out in this very crowded, sportsbook market with hundreds of operators. That's why all these books run bonuses. And if you think about it from the sportsbook's perspective, the typical sportsbook in the US makes $2,000 per customer per year. Again, this is an average. If you're a sharp, profitable bettor, this won't be the case. But in general, 97% of sports bettors lose money long-term, and they lose a lot of money. So for sportsbooks, it's super simple math, right? If we give someone $300 to sign up, and they're gonna be losing thousands of dollars each year on average, that's a no-brainer trade for the sportsbook. That's why books run sign-up offers. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into the 5 main categories of sportsbook sign-up bonuses. So the first category is bet and get. Okay, so that's just like DraftKings Sportsbook. Bet $5 and you get $300 if your first bet wins. On sportsbooks, this is the most common type of sign-up bonus. So we're definitely gonna cover that. That's actually the first type of sign-up bonus that I'll cover in this tutorial. The second one is deposit matches. So a lot of sports books like Prize Picks and Rebet have 100% deposit matches up to $100. So in other words, when you first sign up for Rebet Sportsbook, a book located in every state, you put in 100, they'll match it. You now have $200 in your account. You can't automatically withdraw it. They make you play through the money, but regardless, they're basically just doubling your initial deposit up to some set threshold. Some books, like Underdog Fantasy, they have deposit matches up to $1,000. So depending on the books, some of these, deposit bonuses are lower, some are higher. So we have bet and get, deposit matches. The third very common type of bet, they used to actually be a lot more popular. Now in terms of popularity, they've definitely gone down a bit, but are insured bets. So BetMGM, for example, currently their sign-up bonus, at least in Virginia where I'm located, is a $1,500 insured bet. So what does that mean? Well, you sign up for BetMGM. If your first bet loses, they give you your money back in bonus bets. So insurance is obviously a good thing. Usually when you lose a bet, you just lose your money. So in this case, your first bet will be insured. So it's kind of a way, it's a nice introduction to the sportsbook, I guess you can say. Then we have profit boost and cashback. Those are the final two main forms of sign-up bonuses, although they're much less common. Caesars Sportsbook, for example, currently their sign-up bonus is bet $1 and they give you a bunch of 100% profit boosts. So we can kind of go through that as well in this video. Now, something I wanted to mention is with all of these sign-up bonuses, they're all really lucrative, right? In a $100 deposit match, you put in 100, you get 100 for free. It's hard to screw up. However, what I'm gonna do is kind of focus on low risk, such as if you just wanna take these sign-up bonuses, turn them into risk-free cash and never gamble again, you can absolutely do that, and this video is gonna cover it. And then there's also, the plus EV way, positive ROI, which will have a bit more variance, but you can also just, bet these promos in an optimal way, and you're not guaranteed a risk-free profit, but you'll get a slightly better projected ROI. So without further ado, let's kind of get into the first type of sign-up bonus, which is a bet and get. So the most common type of sportsbook sign-up bonus, you will see these everywhere, are bet and gets. So basically, for example, you look at Hard Rock Sportsbook, it's super simple. That's a big sportsbook in the US. Bet $5, you get $150 in bonus bets. It's that simple. I literally just did this sign-up bonus in the previous video with Clara.
Ooh, they just give you a bunch of $25 tickets for free. Zoom in on that beautiful thing. It's a bunch of $25 bills for free.
Now on DraftKings and FanDuel, they add in a little complication. So on DraftKings, it's bet 5, get 300 if your first bet wins. So you need your first bet to win. You're not guaranteed to get the bonus bets. So basically, because you need your first bet to win, you want to bet on a favored outcome, right? If you're betting 5 and getting 300 in bonus bets, if your first bet wins, you want your first bet to be on a big favorite. You don't want to take a plus 500 underdog. You want to take a minus 500 favorite, a team or a player prop that's super likely to win. So for example, a great bonus bet on FanDuel, or if you were doing the sign-up bonus, a good decent play for today, maybe Jacob deGrom 4+ strikeouts at minus 2,000, right? Jacob deGrom is a minus 2,000 favorite. So you're not gonna win a lot of money off the $5. You're not even gonna win $1, but that's not the point. You're just looking for a bet that's gonna win. And deGrom is a 20-1 favorite, minus 2,000, to have 4+ strikeouts. However, one thing I wanted to mention is when the sign-up bonus says bet X, get X if your first bet wins, you obviously wanna bet on a favored outcome, but you wanna make sure to read the fine print. Okay, you gotta make sure you read the fine print. So for example, on FanDuel, if you read through the fine print, there's no minimum odds requirement, right? If you read through the terms, you could bet on a team, at least as far as I can tell. I signed up for FanDuel Sportsbook 6 years ago, so you can do your own research, but I read through the terms before this video. You could bet on a minus 5,000, minus 10,000 favorite, and that would qualify for the bet and get. However, on DraftKings, they have a minimum odds requirement of minus 500. So you can bet on a team that's a really big favorite, minus 500, but not an absolutely massive favorite like minus 2,000, minus 5,000. So it is important to read the fine print. But bet and gets are really simple, right? But one thing I wanted to mention is all of these sports books, right? They're giving you back bonus bets if your first bet wins. So bet 5, let's say we bet 5, our first play on DraftKings wins. They're not just giving you $300 cash that you can withdraw. They're giving you $300 in bonus bets. So you may be wondering, okay, what is a bonus bet? I've never heard that word, and I didn't either until I started signing up for these sports books and taking my sports betting seriously. A bonus bet is essentially a bet, it's site credit, where you do not get back your stake if your bet wins. So it is worse than cash. Bonus bets are worse than cash. DraftKings giving you $300 in bonus bets does not mean they're giving you $300 in cash. It is very different. So I'll give you a simple example. Let's say we win our first bet on DraftKings, we have $300 in bonus bets, and we bet that $300 on a minus 300 favorite. So we're betting 300 to profit 100. If you place this bonus bet right? $300 to profit 100, and your team wins, you're only getting back the 100 in profit. You're not getting back the stake. You're not getting back the $300. So you basically just took your $300 bonus bet and turned it into $100 in cash, which isn't good. And that's why it's important to understand sharp betting strategies and how to maximize these sign-up bonuses. You don't want to take a $300 bonus bet and turn it into $100 cash. That's a horrible conversion rate. You want to get a higher conversion rate. On the other hand, right, if you bet $300 with cash, let's say you have $300 cash in your DraftKings, you bet on a minus 300 favorite, your bet wins, now you have $400, right? You get your stake back, the $300 plus $100 in profit. So for betting with cash, it doesn't matter, obviously. You just want to ride good bets, but for bonus bets, you do not want to bet them on favorite outcomes. So it's a little confusing, right? It's very confusing actually, because on DraftKings, when you sign up, for your first bet, bet 5, get 300, you do want to bet on a favorite. Your first bet with $5 cash, you want to be on a big favorite. But once you get those bonus bets, you actually want to bet them on underdogs. So bonus bets can be a little confusing. So let me kind of show you what you can do with bonus bets, how I use bonus bets, and how to maximize the ROI or profit margin of a bonus bet. So the main thing you need to understand about bonus bets is you do not want to bet them on favored outcomes. So for example, if I have an $100 bonus bet and I'm guaranteed to win, let's say I bet on a team that's a minus 500 favorite, minus 500, so I'm betting 100 to win 20 in profit. I'm turning an $100 bonus bet into just $20, and that assumes I'm guaranteed to win. That's absolutely horrible. You want to bet your bonus bets on underdog outcomes. So first, let me show you the higher risk way to use bonus bets. This is typically what I do. Whenever I get a bonus bet on FanDuel, all I do is I find plays with value. The OddsJam positive EV tool scans, the hundreds of thousands of lines across every sports book to point out value in the market. And as sports bettors, finding value is critical. So for example, Castellanos to record a double, that would be a good play to throw a bonus bet on. Plus 400 odds, or the higher the odds, the bigger the underdog, as long as your bets are plus EV, that's a better use of a bonus bet. So what you could even potentially do is, you could parlay this. You could parlay Castellanos double with Mookie Betts double, 2 plays that are both plus EV. If both bets in your parlay are plus EV, then your parlay will be plus EV. However, let's say you just want to turn your bonus bets into guaranteed cash. What you can do is you can use the promo converter on OddsJam, which shows you how you can hedge your bonus bets to just convert them into risk-free cash. So let's say, for example, on DraftKings Sportsbook, I have a bonus bet for $300. That's the sign-up bonus. What you can do is then just hit convert promo. And what I want to mention is it's very easy to, just put in whatever sportsbooks you use onto OddsJam. Obviously, if you're just starting out taking advantage of sportsbook sign-up offers, you may not have access to all these books, so you can just kind of filter them out. These are just all the sportsbooks that are legal, available in Virginia. So what this promo converter is going to tell you is how to hedge your bonus bet to turn it into risk-free profit. And a conversion rate of over 80% is considered really good. So I'll give you a simple example, is what this is telling me is if I wanted to, so let me move myself up a bit here, is if I had a $300 bonus bet on DraftKings, I could just convert it if I don't want any risk, I don't want to parlay it, I just want to make risk-free profit. I can convert this $300 bonus bet into a guaranteed profit of $286.94 or $290, depending on if Austin Hedges goes yard or not. So that leads to a conversion rate of approximately 96%, which is really good. So what this tells you to do, you just literally follow the calculator, is it tells you to bet the $300 bonus bet is always going to be on an underdog outcome. The bigger the underdog, the better, the higher the conversion rate. is assume you use DraftKings and Novig, is you'd put your $300 bonus bet on Austin Hedges' home run, and then on Novig, you would hedge. So you can see the bet size here. You would hedge with $3,010 on Austin Hedges to not go yard, on Novig with cash. So one of the two bets will always win. If Austin Hedges goes yard, our bonus bet will win. And on DraftKings, we're gonna win, if we have a $300 bonus bet, we're gonna win 3.3K in profit. We're gonna lose our hedge bet of 30.10, and we're gonna make $290. That's exactly what the calculator tells you. So this is how you can hedge a bonus bet to convert it into risk-free profit, cash, that you can withdraw from your account. So you could sign up for DraftKings, bet $5, get your $300 in bonus bets, and never place another bet after converting the bonus bet into profit. So assume my first bet wins. I only put $5 in DraftKings. My first bet wins. And what I could do is take those $300 bonus bets, hedge it, turn it into $290, withdraw that money from my account. I flipped $5 into about $300, $295 in just, a few minutes of work. Super easy. And then you can never use DraftKings Sportsbook again if that's what you decide to do. However, you may say, look, Alex, realistically, I don't have that much money to hedge, right? You may say, look, I don't have $3,000 to hedge. Well, that's fine. What you can do is just get a lower conversion rate. So for example, here's a play where your hedge bet would only need to be $820. Granted, you're getting a lower conversion rate. You're turning your $300 bonus bet into $230 risk-free profit with this play, which obviously isn't as good, but you need less cash, right? You only have to hedge $820. So long story short, and you can kind of play around with this. I mean, let's say you don't even have that much money to hedge, or you're not, what you can do is, you can continue to kind of find books that fit your bankroll or bet sizes that fit your bankroll. But that's how you can convert a bonus bet into risk-free profit. So again, if you want to turn these bonus bets into risk-free cash, you're gonna need other sports books to hedge your bets on, right? Like with the promo converter I just showed you on OddsJam, if you want to take these bonus bets and convert them at a conversion rate of like 80-90%, you're gonna need other books to hedge these bonus bets on. So what I'd recommend starting out with, and the first sign-up bonuses you should do if you're just getting started with sports betting, is take advantage of deposit matches. Deposit matches are absolutely amazing, and they're super simple, right? There are some, strings attached sometimes, but we'll get into that. But in general, it's pretty simple. So for example, on Rebet Sportsbook, a book legal everywhere, you put in 100, they match it. So you put in 100, you now have $200 in your account. Obviously, for obvious reasons, I recommend put in the full 100. You can't put in $25 with your first deposit because that's all they're gonna match, right? If you put in 25, they'll match it. You now have $50 in your account. But the deposit bonus was for, $100. So you were getting a free $100, but you only made 25. So ideally try to do these deposit bonuses for the full amount. But basically the way it works is you put in 100, they match it on Rebet. You now have $200 in your account. All you have to do is bet through that money and then you can withdraw it. So it's super simple. So what you could do is you could do a bet and get promo on FanDuel. You now have bonus bets. You could throw some money into Rebet, right? It's a book legal basically everywhere. They're gonna give you $100 for free. You could hedge your bonus bets on FanDuel with Rebet, and then you have cash in both accounts that you can end up withdrawing. So sometimes these deposit matches get a little more complicated. So I'll give you an example. Is on some sports books, they have rollover requirements, which basically means you have to bet through the money a certain amount of times before you can withdraw it. So for example, DraftKings Sportsbook used to have an $1,000 deposit match. So you put in $1,000, you get 1,000 for free, but you had to play through it 20 times. So that's obviously a lot less appealing than if you only have to play through it once. However, I will show you in a second how to take advantage of rollover sign-up bonuses, how you can maximize it. The second thing I wanted to mention is some books, they're not in 100% deposit match. So for example, on Novig, which is a new book that launched, it's available in basically every state. They have 10% off your first deposit up to $100. So basically, if you put $900 into your account, they're gonna give you $100 for free. So if you're trying to deposit $1,000, they're gonna take 10% off. You only have to deposit $900, they'll give you the last $100 for free. And again, all of these deposit bonuses are capped. It's not like you can get a $250,000 sign-up bonus where you deposit $250, get $250, right? Most of these are $100, $200 each, some at $1,000. But that's basically how deposit bonuses work. I mean, they're super simple, but let me show you how to take advantage of, these deposit matches, especially if there is a rollover requirement. So let's go through an example of how to play through a lot of money for a rollover bonus. Again, DraftKings switched up their sign-up bonus. Now it's this bet 5, get 300. And bonus bets have no rollover requirement. The second you convert them into cash, you can withdraw them. However, when I signed up for DraftKings, they had like an $1,000 deposit match, but you had to play through a bunch of money. So the question is, how do you play through a bunch of money? So what I personally would do, if you're willing to take the higher ROI but more variant strategy, is I would just run a bunch of positive expected value plus EV bets. So for example, DraftKings is offering incredible value on Neesmith under 1.5 threes right now. I would just run this as a straight bet, right? And I would place a bunch of plus EV bets. But let's say you say, no, I only want to play through the money. I want to convert it into risk-free profit, and then I'm done sports betting for once and for all. You can do that too, so don't worry. So what you can use is the OddsJam low holds tool. Let's go through this tool first, where basically you can play through money with no loss of money, right? Obviously, what you don't want to do is play through the rollover requirement and lose a ton of money. Because then the $1,000 that DraftKings gives you for free, it goes away because you're losing a ton of money and you could even end up down money. So what the low hold tool tells you is basically plays you can bet where you have no loss of money. So let's say, for example, I want to bet Max Fried's under on DraftKings at plus 110 for $1,000, his over at minus 110 on Bet365. It tells me bet $1,100, and regardless of what happens, I make $0. Obviously, making $0 isn't good, but who cares, because I'm playing through the playthrough that's required to churn through the deposit bonus, so I can then withdraw the money. And again, this works for any sportsbook. We're just going through DraftKings. So Freed goes over or under, I'm making $0, and I'm just playing through the money. Another thing you could do, low holds are great because you literally are just playing through money with no loss, assuming you're getting 0%. Obviously, there are some, if you continue to scroll, that these are like, okay, here, this play, for example, you're losing 0.25% of your money. So for every $1,000 you bet, you're going to be losing $2.50. So you can even take low holds that are a little negative, right? You'll lose a little bit of money, but you're playing through money. So here it's like, okay, here's what I'd lose, 55 cents. Here's my bet, my hedge bet. Sure, I lose 55 cents, but I'm playing through the money. It's a low hold. But again, 0% is obviously better. But honestly, the best possible thing you can find are arbitrage bets, right? So arbitrage is a very simple strategy. This is my favorite tool on OddsJam, the OddsJam arbitrage tool. Arbitrage is basically when two sports books have such different odds that you can bet the over here on one book, the under on a different book, and actually make a little bit of money. So it's even better. So for example, let's say you're in Canada and you have access to Pinnacle and you decide to play this arbitrage bet. And you bet 150 on Pinnacle. This will tell you bet 188 on DraftKings. Maybe round your bet size to like 189 or 185, 190, something like that. But regardless, you're gonna be making $67 in profit on top of playing through the money for the DraftKings sign-up bonus. So again, that's kind of how deposit matches work. They're super simple. Most books that I've signed up for don't have a super bad playthrough requirement. You'll hear horror stories of some books that are like, 50 times playthrough, but usually the deposit bonuses are for like 10 grand or something crazy. Prize Picks, you know, it's only a 1x playthrough. Most books, the playthrough is not that bad. So next we can discuss cashback sign-up bonuses. So for example, ProfitX, their sign-up offer is earn 2% cash back for your first 30 days. So you only have a month to do this. You can earn 2% cash back up to $300 in site credit in Profit Cash. So basically what that means is you just have to bet $15,000 total to make the $300. After $15,000, it doesn't matter. They have a cap of $300 max that they're gonna give you in Profit Cash. So basically you just need to bet 15K on ProfitX in a month to get the $300 free from ProfitX, and it's gradually gonna come to you, right? You don't have to do it all at once. If you bet $10,000 your first day, they're gonna give you 2% back. So you're gonna get back $200 and you can do the rest of it, bet another, you know, whatever, bet more of the money, another $5,000 5 days later. But it's really that simple. That's how a cashback sign-up bonus works. Again, if you're more risky and you're down for a plus EV betting strategy, positive ROI, you could just find plus EV bets like we kind of explained for deposit bonuses. However, if you just wanna make risk-free money, right? You don't wanna deal with any risk whatsoever and you need to bet $15,000 on ProfitX, you can use the low hold tool. You can use the arbitrage tool, right? Just like with sportsbooks that have rollover deposit matches, you can use arbitrage or low holds to just take the free bonus money and convert it into risk-free cash. And the good thing about ProfitX is there are tons of arbitrage bets, tons of low holds on ProfitX. So it's super easy, assuming you have enough of a bankroll, to play through that money, right? And get the free $300. It's very easy to do. There's limitless arbitrage opportunities on ProfitX. So next we can go through BetMGM, right? These insured sign-up bonuses. So in some states they have the bet 10, get 150, that we've already discussed. However, in other states like Virginia, they have, you place your first bet up to $1,500. If you lose, you get your money back in bonus bets. Okay, so you get your money back in bonus bets. So one thing I wanted to mention is similar to deposit matches, when you're taking advantage of the BetMGM sign-up bonus, like, again, I understand people have different bankrolls, stuff like that, but if you want to sign up for BetMGM, try to save up $1,500, right? It's kind of pointless to do this with only $100 because you're way reducing the value of the sign-up bonus. This is a super profitable promo, a super lucrative promo. You don't just want to do it for $100. Do some of the sportsbook sign-up bonuses, $100 deposit matches, do those first to build your bankroll. However, how would I use this $1,500 insured bet? You know what I would, you guys already know what I would do. Is I'm a little more risky, is I would just find a positive EV, a profitable bet, right? An underdog outcome. So very similar to bonus bets, when you have insured bets, you wanna bet on underdogs. If you take a $1,500 insured bet and you throw it on a, let's say, minus 10,000 favorite, well, the insurance is basically worthless because you're betting on a team that's 99% to win the game. There's no value to the insurance. So when you're using these insured bets where you lose, you get your money back in bonus bets, you want to bet on underdog outcomes. So I'll give you a simple example is maybe I would run Pacers plus 260, or even I would parlay Pacers plus 260 with Devers plus 375. Two positive EV profitable bets. You can see here, they're offering great value on the Pacers at plus 260. Pinnacle, the sharpest book out there, they're only giving you plus 235. So that's what I would personally do. However, let's say you say, no way, Alex, no way, Jose. I want to turn this sign-up bonus into risk-free cash. What you can do is go to the OddsJam promo converter. Let's go to BetMGM. So this promo converter, I mean, basically whatever you want to do. So this is a no sweat bet, which is the same as an insured bet. And if we lose our first bet, we get refunded in bonus bets. It's for $1,500. So then you just hit convert promo. Again, as I kind of explained, if you want to do the most profitable right? You want to get the highest possible conversion rate. You want to turn your $1,500, insured bet into as much money as possible. You're going to need a lot of money to hedge. In this case, this is telling you bet your, on BetMGM, place your $1,500 insured bet on Flores plus 900, and then go hedge on Novig and bet 12.5K. Obviously, that may not be realistic. It's the highest possible conversion rate, right? It's the highest possible conversion rate. You're going to turn your $1,500 bonus bet into almost $1,000 in guaranteed profit, which is pretty good. But if you don't have that much money to hedge, maybe something like this, right? You can kind of keep scrolling. Sure, you're only turning your $1,500 bonus bet now into $690, but again, that's kind of the problem with hedging, is you're reducing the ROI, especially if you don't have a large bankroll to hedge with. So what this is going to tell you to do, and you can kind of read the text right here, is you want to place your insured bet on Flores to go yard, right? And then you want to hedge and bet on Flores to not go yard for 12.5K at minus 890 odds, right? This is an arbitrage bet. And then if your first bet loses, you're gonna make money on Novig, right? If our first bet loses, if our $1,500 insured bet on BetMGM does not win, Flores does not go yard, on BetMGM, we're gonna lose, but we get back our money, our $1,500 in a bonus bet. So now we have a $1,500 bonus bet that we can convert into risk-free cash the same way I explained previously. And BetMGM actually breaks it into 5 different bonus bets for $300 each. They don't just give you one bonus bet for $1,500. So there's 2 options here, right? If Flores goes yard on BetMGM, I win my first bet and I'm making a ton of money, right? $1,500 bet at plus 900 odds. So I'm winning 13.5K, which is pretty good. On Novig, I'm gonna lose 12.5K and I'm gonna profit $960. I'm done. I don't get a bonus bet because my first wager won. However, if my first bet loses, he doesn't go yard, I'm gonna lose $1,500 on BetMGM, but again, I'm getting back $1,500 in bonus bets. On Novig, I'm gonna profit $1,409. So I'm currently actually down $91, but I can convert a $1,500 bonus bet into cash easily at a rate of 70%, which means you're gonna make $1,050. So you're gonna end up, again, about $900. So a little more complicated for these insured bets, especially if your first bet loses, right? If this bet loses, then I'm gonna have to do 2 things, right? Then I'm gonna need to hedge my bonus bet again to convert it into risk-free cash. So you need a bankroll to hedge with. So I wanna be clear, this may sound like, oh my gosh, this is so much work. And maybe it does require a little bit of work, right? You can't snap your fingers and take all the sportsbook sign-up bonuses and be $18,000 richer. It requires time. It requires a little bit of startup capital, especially if you want to do this in a risk-free way. Again, if you don't want to convert every sign-up bonus into guaranteed profit, you can just place a bunch of plus EV bets. It's pretty easy to do. But if you want to guarantee risk-free cash, you're going to need a bit of a bankroll. But it's worth it, right? This is a ton of money. I mean, literally, I take my sister, I take my friends really easily within just a few hours of placing these bets, doing everything in an optimal way. Every single person, I can make a few $1,000s guaranteed. Granted, depending on the state you're in, some books have better sign-up bonuses, some books have worse sign-up bonuses. So probably the best states to go to and visit if you want to do sportsbook sign-up bonuses are New Jersey, Colorado, Indiana, Virginia. These are the states where the most sports books are available, and all of the books have lucrative sign-up bonuses. And you don't need to live in the state. So when I actually started sports betting, I would travel to different states simply to rip off sportsbook sign-up bonuses. Sports Illustrated was a book that launched in Colorado with a $7,500 insured bet, a $7,500, risk-free bet it was called at the time. And basically, if you do that sign-up bonus optimally, you can convert that into $5,000 guaranteed profit. So I immediately was like, yo, this bonus may go down at some point. I booked a trip to Colorado, you know, the $5,000 in profit paid for everything, you know, my hotel, whatever, especially when you include the other Colorado sports books that I signed up for. So this is real money, very real money. Now, I did want to add one caveat before we get into the final type of sign-up bonus, which is profit boost, is for fantasy books like Prize Picks, it's impossible to low hold or arbitrage bet. Maybe not completely impossible, you can make it really complicated, but on Prize Picks, there's no straight bets. You can only place parlays, right? Every entry on Prize Picks needs at least 2 picks. So that makes arbitrage betting much harder. So my recommendation is when you sign up for Prize Picks, you put in 100, they give you $100 in site credit for free. Just use the OddsJam Fantasy Optimizer to convert these sign-up bonuses, to find the most profitable plays that you can pair into a Prize Pick slip. Just play through the $100 and then you can withdraw the money from your account. So for fantasy, the sites that are parlay only, it does get a little more complicated. However, without further ado, I wanted to get into the final type of sportsbook sign-up bonus, which is profit boost. So Caesars Sportsbook is a big book, obviously, and they have a profit boost sign-up bonus. So this isn't as common. The most common types of sign-up bonuses, again, in order, probably the top ones are number 1, a bet and get, right? Just like FanDuel, DraftKings, Hard Rock, Bet365, bet X, get X if your first bet wins, or some books are nice and they don't even make you win your first bet. We've already gone through that. The second most common one is deposit matches. Prize Picks, Rebet, Novig, tons of books will match your first deposit up to 50%, 100%, up to $100, up to $1,000 like on Underdog Fantasy. And again, some of these books have rollover requirements that are worth kind of understanding as we went through. The next most common type of bet is the insured bet. BetMGM, bet 1,500. If your first bet loses, you get your money back in bonus bets. We went through that. Cashback is the 4th most common. Profit X, we went through that. So the final one we're going to go through is Profit Boost, and I'll show you how to use Profit Boost sign-up bonuses in a mathematically optimal way. So here you can see Caesars Sportsbook, bet $1 and for your next 10 bets up to $25 max, you're gonna get an 100% profit boost, 100% profit boost token. The maximum you can win for each profit boost, the max additional winnings is $2,500, as you can kind of read there. So basically you wanna bet $1 and then all of your next 10 bets, you're gonna wanna bet 25 bucks, right? You obviously don't wanna bet $5 when they're giving you an 100% profit boost up to 25. So how would I use this? Unsurprisingly, I would find a bunch of plus EV bets where Caesars offering value, just like this play here. Caesars is offering the best price. All these other sports books, including Pinnacle, Profit X, which are known to be pretty sharp books, they have the over favored. I mean, this looks like great value. So with an 100% profit boost, it's pretty simple. So basically first inning money line, let's just go through this example. First inning money line, the A's are plus 100. On Caesars, I'm now going to be getting plus 200, right? I'm getting a 100% profit boost. So instead of plus 100, I'm getting plus 200. Instead of plus 200, you'll get plus 400. So how can you convert these sign-up bonuses into risk-free profit if you don't just want to run EV bets? Is once again, when you're doing these bonuses, you want to bet on underdog outcomes. So personally, what I would do is I wouldn't even run A's at plus 100. With profit boost, the higher the odds, similar to bonus bets, the better, right? Because you're only getting the boost on the profit, not the stake. So longer odds is better. So personally, what would I do is I would just pair a bunch of these together. All of these bets are plus EV, have an edge. Once my parlay is maybe plus 500 odds, plus 600 odds, I'll add in the profit boost. It'll go up to plus 1200. But OddsJam makes it really easy. I mean, basically every type of sportsbook sign-up bonus, OddsJam makes it pretty easy. You just put in profit boost, $25, max winnings, 2,500 bucks. Profit boost is 100%, convert that. So what this is gonna do is it's gonna show you arbitrage bets, right? So we've explained arbitrage, I did at the start of the video, when two books have such different prices that you can bet the over on one book, the under on a different book, guarantee a profit. So basically, what I'm able to do with my first $25 profit boost, you could put them all on the same play, is take Ohtani stolen base at plus 450. The odds will double to plus 900 because of the profit boost. And then you can just hedge on Profit X. And what you're going to do for $210, so you'd want to bet your $25 profit boost token on Ohtani stolen base plus 900, right? You want to hedge, bet 210 on Profit X at minus 515 on Ohtani to not have a stolen base. And regardless of what happens, you're going to make $15 guaranteed profit. So you're using the profit boost to leg into juicy arbitrage bets. So we basically went through every type of sportsbook sign-up bonus. I mean, you can look through all these books. There's some other types, that maybe if you're in a different country, you see more frequently, but I basically went through everything. You can always comment any questions, and thank you so much for your time.